also, you can see here on this first screen here, I wanted just to share with folks the redemption rates from 2020. The first column is the senior rates for redemption for the senior vouchers, and then the second column is for the WIC voucher redemption. So you can kind of see what it is like in our Buffalo Trace County area, and give you a little bit of idea, and maybe even be able to connect with folks in a county that you see that may be a little bit higher or something in one of those areas to see what they may be doing to get such high numbers. So just want to share that with you all tonight before we get started. And then also, again, I know this is a little bit different than what we've been doing, but I just want to make sure to confirm that we do get everybody's attendance correct this evening, since it is important for our senior and WIC vouchers paperwork that we'll be submitting to the state. So if you can, go ahead and put in the chat box your name, and anyone that's watching with you, go ahead and put their names, your name and their names in the chat box. That way we make sure we get everyone credit where credit is due. So before we get started with Philip, does anyone have any questions, comments, or anything like that? All right, well, Philip, I will turn it over to you then.
Sounds good, April. I'm working on this part here. Let's see now, how do we do this? Don't start the video. Don't start the video. I'll get to Power Slideshow.
Go up to your, well, you can go down to your bottom. Down to your bottom right, you'll see a little screen with a line through it.
Oh, there we go. There we don't go.
Well, I can see the next slide. I don't know if that matters.
All right. Does that matter that you all can see the next slide?
Nah, it'll be all right.
How do we fix that?
Philip, if you go to
yep. Can you hear me?
I think you have to go. Yeah, I think you have to go back to.
Hello?
There you go. I think you got it now.
You got it.
Yeah,
I got it. All right, good deal. All right, sorry about that. So let's make up for that with a joke, okay? I got to do a joke. Why is it not a good idea to iron a 4-leaf clover when you find it? Why is it not a good idea to iron a 4-leaf clover when you find it? You don't want to press your luck. I can hear Macy's eyes rolling right now. So now that we got through that, let's go ahead. Let's get into the Senior and Farmers Market. Senior Farmers Market Nutritional Program for 2021. We got $307,545 for the state this year. Seniors may receive one booklet of checks that's going to equal $30. Okay, it's going to be $30 booklets. Seniors may receive only one of these per person per season. If it's lost or stolen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's sorry about your luck, and we'll just go on. USDA, here's some new stuff, guys. USDA mandates that 10% of the market, 10% of the farmers, that's the new part, and 50% of the distribution agencies are reviewed every year. So that being said, each market will have to be inspected 10% of the growers. Now, 10% of the growers includes any new growers are automatically mandated. They're going to be inspected. And then if that doesn't equal 10%, then another one or two will be inspected to meet 10%. They will come to the market and inspect you, and that's not a big deal. They're nice, friendly folks and want to make sure everything's being done correctly. On the market site review the markets, and then they're going to review each individual farmer that's going to be at the market. Anonymous complaints will get them there faster than anything. Not that I'm worried about anybody in this group or online, but that will get them there very quickly. So what are they going to look for? Some minor violations. If you forget to post your sign at the market, that's a little slap on the wrist, and don't do that. I'll give you a little story. Tina was going around to a different market, and nobody at that market had their senior sign up. So she went back and happened to forget her notebook. And by the time she got back, every market member knew her, pulled out their senior signs and was leaning on them or taped them to the table or something so that they were up in prominent display. Failure to open your markets during published times. So guys, violations must be corrected within 30 days. Farmers will be required to sign off on a review, and it'll be emailed with a violation letter. Okay. If you do not have it emailed, don't worry about it. Hopefully we don't have to worry about this at all, but we'll work with you to get the problem corrected. All right. Some major ones. Accepting checks off of market sites. That's a big no-no. Accepting checks for non-eligible products. We'll get into that. Buying checks. Don't do that. Providing false information on application. Don't do that either. And then accepting checks when on suspension. If you're suspended, means you can't take a check. Penalties for the violations can potentially mean that you as a farmer will get kicked out of the program and or the market too. So you can get some enemies real quick that way if you get the market kicked out. Participating farmers must be a member of an approved farmers market. Obviously, you are at that point because you wouldn't be on here tonight. Be a member of an approved market that participates in the program. Again, we got that checked off. Attend a training annually, including civil rights training, and we will cover that tonight. Accept checks for only locally grown fruits and vegetables, herbs, and honey. Complete the participation guideline and applications, including the stamp with the signed stamp and submitting it to KDA by May 1st. Okay. That being said, Lewis and Round, and I'm gonna let April and Macy get into the other counties. Make sure you get those to me by May 1st, and I will get them in. We'll just email them in. That way I know who I've got and who I got to track down. All right. Eligible foods. The checks are good for locally grown produce and honey. Locally grown produce is defined as grown within Kentucky or within 50 miles of Kentucky borders. Now, some farmers market rules may supersede that, and the market rules can be stricter. They just can't be looser. So non-eligible foods include products that may not be purchased with the checks are citrus, oranges, mangoes, lemons, limes, bananas, pineapples. Meats, eggs, cheese are not eligible for that as well. Potted plants such as herbs and flowers are not eligible. Medicinal herbs and other such as aloe or lamb's ear are not eligible to be purchased with the checks either. I know we got some very good growers in here, but if you tell me you're growing an orange locally, I'm going to throw the flag at that one. All right. So a farmer cannot exclusively sell produce grown by somebody else. All markets may have some different rules. And like I said before, they can be stricter. They just can't be looser. No change can be given for the checks. So if a farm, or if I'm out there at the farmer's market and a person comes up to me and says, Philip, I just want to buy $2 worth of tomatoes and my check's for $4. Can you give me $2 and change? And I'm going to look at it and say, nope, I can't do that. I can stick an extra tomato on there or another potato or something like that, but I cannot give change. So do not do that. All vendors may assist. Oh boy, I lost my train of thought there. No sales tax. Let's just go on down there. Checks validated only at the authorized markets. Your farm's not a place you can accept the checks. Yes, that is the ultimate goal, is to be able to sell off your farm. Customers come to you. However, you cannot do that and accept the checks. Not all Kentucky farmers markets are certified to take the checks, and not all farmers in the market have to be certified to take the checks. It's a good idea to kind of minimize confusion, but it doesn't have to be. So make sure that you display this sign. Make sure you write your number on this sign. If you do not have this sign, make sure you get a hold of your local county agent or market manager, and we will see if we can get you some signs. Vendors must display their stamp number as well as hours and days of operation of the market. Writing in this number is more visible than a stamp. With your stamp is either acceptable. So you can just stamp it on there. Not a very good idea. Take you a magic marker, go steal one from your wife, because I guarantee you she's got one if she's like mine, and you write that number real big so everybody can read it. Offer the participants in this program the same courtesies you would anybody else. I don't know why that rule's up there, because every one of them I visit, you all treat everybody the same, and that's all we ask. Provide eligible foods at the current price or lower than current price. If you want to give them a discount, I'll pat you on the back. You can't charge them more though. It's also a good idea to display products, how you're selling them, because a lot of people are not real proud of it, the fact they're on that program. And if they see that sign, and if they see what you're selling it and how much it's for, they're more apt to come up and talk to you. If they've got to go ask, they may be a little bashful, a little backwards, and don't want to do that. Have some produce in bundles for easy accessibility for seniors, not a mandatory thing, just an optional thing. Maybe you want to do a salsa kit. Maybe you want to do a baked potato kit, something like that, that they can just pick it up and go and make a meal that night. So here's the eligible food list for the seniors. All right, guys, if it is not on this list, you cannot take the coupons for it. Now, pay very close attention to the honey, because honey is good for seniors, not for WIC. For the herbs, they must be fresh cut. They cannot be dried. They cannot be in the pot. If you're selling it in the pot, cut it off real quick and sell them the top part. Don't sell them the bottom part. So here's the nice little circle of life. You're going to accept the checks from the seniors, have them sign it on the signature line, make sure they date it. Store the check in a safe place while you're at the market. When you get home, before depositing them, sign the back of the check in the place where you have your stamp ID, make sure it's in there, and then endorse the back. Deposit the checks at your bank institution within 2 weeks of getting them. So that's what the WIC stamp looks like. It's got the nice little people on there, okay? Remember that. The senior stamp is only the numbers, okay? And that's very easy to get confused, and it happens time and time again. Make sure that the senior stamp is numbers only, okay? And that there's one senior stamp for all the markets. So you don't need one for Carter County. You don't need one for Lewis County. It's all one stamp. So we want to make sure we get that correct. WIC's a little different. All right, once the farmer receives the voucher checks, make sure that they sign and date it by the senior or proxy, okay? So let's say we get it dated and the day's the 11th, and then that senior lost track of time and they wrote the 12th. Don't worry about it, okay? We can make that work as long as it falls in the correct timeline. All right. The vouchers must need to be deposited by the farmer within 14 days of the check getting distributed to you. All checks must be deposited by November 15th. If it is November 16th, they're going to kick it back on you. And then you get the bank fees and everything else like that. So make sure it's in by the 15th. Stamping your application by May 1 should allow you enough time to notify KDA if you've lost your stamp from the previous year. If you are a returning participant in this program, that number stays with you. If you lost your stamp, if you damaged your stamp, call your local representative, whether it be agent or market manager, and we can put the paperwork in to get you a new stamp. Make sure that you endorse the back and that they're deposited within 14 days. All right, we got some nice little red writing here. So the red words are always important. Have participants sign the check and put the transaction date on the line above the signature. Let's see, where's my laser pointer? All right, make sure we got the date right here and we got them signed right here, okay? Then you're going to pull out your nice little handy dandy senior stamp, make sure it's good and inked up, and you stamp it right there. If it's not legible, if we cannot read it, if you cannot read it, stamp it again. Make sure we can read that number. and then make sure we get it deposited within 14 days after you endorse it on the back. So when depositing your checks, make sure that they meet all the criteria and all is legible. That's the key word there, legible. Okay. Signature from the senior, date by the senior, farmer's market ID or stamp, your signature on the back, and again, within 14 days. All right. Here is the non-discriminatory statement. I will make sure Lewis and Round County has this. We'll laminate it and make sure that Justice for All poster is hanging in where everybody can see it visibly. If for some reason somebody feels like they are discriminated against, you can point them to that sign and they can file a complaint with the USDA, and they take that very, very seriously, and it will be investigated. So, paperwork checklist, and we'll go over this at the end of the presentation. We want to make sure that we have your application completed and filled out. So, May 1st, we got to have the paperwork turned in. June 1st, the season begins. That's when the distribution agents will start passing them out. October 31st, last day to accept checks from seniors, okay? November 15th, last day to put the checks in the bank. If you have any questions, our new person is Jesse Fry, and Jesse is Mr. Jesse Fry. He's in charge of the senior program up at KDA. His boss is Tina Garland. Other than that, if y'all have any questions, I'll entertain them. If not, I'll stop sharing my screen and turn it over to April.
I have a question.
Fire on it.
All right. All right, I'm with the Fleming County Market.
Yep.
So are we permitted to take surrounding county or other counties WIC or senior vouchers for our merchandise?
All right, let me make sure I understand you, Molly. Let's say that you're set up at Fleming County and I live over in Lewis County, and I come over there and stop at the Fleming County Market and I hand you a senior check from Lewis County. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you can accept that. The deal is that when you stamp it with your stamp, Fleming County will get the credit, not Lewis County. But that's neither here nor there. The long with the short is, yes, you can accept those checks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Molly, it's very important. The stamps are very important. That's the reason why you want to make sure it's legible and everything. Just because that way, allotments of money, because you could see like for Fleming County a while ago, our WIC was 30% redemption. So, we want our redemption rates to be high because that means that, we'll continue to receive benefits, because it's showing Fleming County is receiving or getting vouchers.
Okay, that is a great question that came in on the chat. How do seniors get the checks? This is new to us. Okay, each county has a distribution agency, and I'm going to speak for Lewis County because I don't know the rest of the counties. Lewis County, for the seniors only, the Senior Citizen Center will distribute those out. If you're in Lewis County and want a person signed up on that program, you need to see the Senior Citizen Center, and Miss Judy Craycraft will take very good care of you. I know Carter County does it through the extension office. April, Macy, I don't know how you all do it.
So I believe this question's for Fleming County. Yes, our senior group in Fleming County, Licking Valley, they do hand out the senior vouchers. So that would be who would actually distribute those to the seniors. And they used to, and this is pre-COVID, I don't know what will happen, once we get back to normal life. But they would, for our Tuesday market in Fleming County, bring a bus of the seniors out to the market. That way they had some transportation as well. Macy, do you want to share how Mason County does it?
Yes, ours also goes through the senior center as well in Mason County.
Okay, let me go back up here real quick, April. Are they still requiring masks again this year? And Macy, April, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it is still required as of now. They may change later on, but as of now, it is required. You all
Yeah.
got any other corrections on that?
That is correct, and I think I put there too. Everything that was kind of standing for last year, COVID wise, is still stands this year. So until we're told otherwise, and for those that are new to the market, we can work a little bit closer on this as well. But there are still those requirements in place. So you do still need to sanitize. You need to wear your mask. You need to make sure that you don't have food and things out that folks can just touch on their own. All those are good ideas to do.
And no samples as of right now. They're working on trying to get around that, but as of right now, no samples are allowed.
That is correct. Yeah, no samples, and hopefully, as things start getting better, we'll be able to, give y'all some more good news about allowing samples and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of other folks that are involved in these conversations, and we're not making these rules. There's a lot of folks that are looking at a lot of things. So hopefully things will get back to more normal this year, but as of right now, everything stands kind of as it was for last year. And anyone that's new to any of the markets, just reach out to us and we can go over a little bit more in depth as well.
Oh, and I will put this stipulation up too. Tonight's recording will go on the Plant Professionals YouTube page, and probably be tomorrow morning before I get it uploaded. And I will email April the link. She can send it to Fleming County. I will send it to Brown and Lewis in an email, and Macy will have access to it as well.
And I'll email it out to everybody as well, like I've been doing the past few sessions as well. I'll give you all an update of everything that we discussed this evening as well. All right, any last questions for Philip on the senior voucher program before we move on to the WIC program?
And if you don't have them now and think of them later, I'm not going anywhere. So.
Yeah, and feel free to put them in the chat, or you can come off of mute when we have our breaks as well. All right, we'll get started then on the WIC voucher program. So for folks that may not be aware what WIC stands for, it is the Women, Infants, and Children. And this program is part of the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So when we talk about it throughout this presentation, when I talk about WIC and vouchers, I'll probably just leave out the FM and P on any of the slides, and we'll just go from there. So anybody that's got questions, feel free to put them in the chat box as we go through it, or you can wait till the end and come off of mute. Philip, can you see my screen okay? Are we good to go?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mine is not going to be as fancy as Philip's because mine is a PDF. So topics for the training. So this is what we're going to be covering throughout this presentation. We're going to do an overview of the WIC voucher funding. We're going to talk about the preparations and the changes for 2021. I'll just touch a little bit base for you on the market coordinator roles, just to give you all an idea of what the market coordinators are in charge of with the WIC vouchers. And of course, what your requirements are. And Macy will talk more about some of that kind of stuff at the end as well. Monitoring and stamps, eligible and non-eligible food items, the WIC voucher and coupon safe storage. And you'll also see here this FI throughout the presentation. That is food instrument. So I'm not going to say food instrument as we go through. I'm just going to call it the WIC vouchers. So that's going to mean the same thing, okay? We're going to talk about the redemption and revalidation process, reporting the civil rights, fair hearings, and discrimination. Also, we'll talk about ways to increase the redemption rates in 2021. We'll give you a few good ideas. And then, of course, the deadlines, and we'll provide the contact for this program through the state. So the overview of the WIC voucher program, the WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program is funded by the United States Department of Agriculture, and it's administered through the Kentucky Department of Public Health. So with the senior vouchers, that's coming from KDA, and the WIC vouchers are coming through the Kentucky Department of Public Health. So a lot of times you're going to see that these are going to be distributed by your local health department. The vouchers are provided to WIC clients to spend at approved markets throughout the state. And the goal of the program is to increase consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables among WIC participants and to support our local farmers, which is, a benefit for everybody in our communities. The health department provides nutrition education about fresh fruits and vegetables to the participants when they pick up their vouchers. And we also encourage folks to go ahead and make some nutrition education activities at the markets as well. This could help them decide, how to prepare this food. That's one thing we hear a lot of from a lot of the WIC participants is they may not know exactly how to prepare something that you might be offering. So it might be a good idea to provide some education on the products that you have at your site. For the WIC funding, you'll see here that the 2020 and the 2020 rates are pretty well the same. It's a little bit less from 2020, but you'll also see that it's still more than what was received in 2019. So the 2020 redemption rate statewide was 38%. And at the very beginning of the presentation, when we started this evening, you saw what each of our county breakdowns were. And I can share that again at the end for anybody that may have joined late. So for the statewide, it was 38%, which is not terrible, but there's obviously room for growth and improving. And the most successful county was Robertson County, and they had an 87% redemption rate, which is awesome. And I'm sure they'll be happy to share their tips and tricks on that kind of stuff as well. The preparations for 2021. So each market must complete a market agreement. All farmers, which pertains to you all, must complete the training checklist and farmer agreements, and Macy will go over those forms towards the end. Then we must submit the market and farmer agreements to Jesse Parker, which is the coordinator. This pertains to more of the agents or the market manager. So you don't have to worry about that. You just have to worry about getting the forms back to us or to your market managers. That way we can scan them in and email them for you guys. Just make sure you get them to us in a timely manner. I know the Fleming County folks, I mailed out packets to you all last week, and I believe April 27th is your all's deadlines to get back all the paperwork. That way we make sure we have everybody taken care of and ready to get sent in. As Philip said, for the senior vouchers, we have to have those in by May 1st. For the WIC voucher paperwork, we have to have those in by May 3rd. So just try to get them all back at the same time. That way we can go ahead and make sure everybody's taken care of and you don't have to worry anymore about the paperwork. Some highlights for the 2021 season. The market season is from July the 1st through September 30th. And this is just for the WIC vouchers. You'll notice that's a little bit mostly during the most important time of when most of your fresh fruits and vegetables are being grown. Just be thoughtful about that. We'll actually talk about this further and through multiple slides going forward through this presentation as well. The eligible WIC participants will receive $16 this year. The last day, again, to accept the WIC vouchers is September the 30th, and you must take all your checks to the bank within 2 weeks of the redemption date. So as soon as somebody redeems their WIC voucher, you have 2 weeks from that moment to get it to your bank. And this is, many reasons why you want to do that. You want to treat it like any other person's check. And you don't want to be holding on to other people. Well, you probably don't want people holding on to your checks for 2 weeks either. So just be thoughtful in that kind of aspect as well. All checks must be deposited no later than October 15th. So anybody that's accepting on September 30th, you have until October 15th. Market manager and coordinator requirements. And this, like I said, I'm just going to let you see what we kind of have to do with everything that's going on. This really doesn't pertain to the majority of you because you're more on the side of the farmer side. But the folks that are like for all of us agents that's on here today, and then your market coordinators, they have to attend this training, and that way we can train the farmers. And then of course we have to make sure all the paperwork's completed. We have to also make sure that if somebody does not return to the market, that the stamps do come back to us. That way we're able to send those back to the state. So if you all know somebody that was involved in the market last year and they're not coming back this year, make sure you talk to them and try to get them to get the stamps back to their county office. That way we can get those sent back in a timely manner. And then of course, if anybody has any changes to your market coordinator, we have to make sure we let the WIC office know at the state as well. And then we also have to complete the keep the records for 3 years. And so that's always good information to know to make sure we are following the rules. So that's just to give you an idea what the market manager and coordinators have to do. Moving on, the farmer requirements, which is more what you all care about. The farms have to be local. So they have to be 50 miles within the Kentucky borders. Sell only locally grown fruits and vegetables that appear on the eligible food list. You cannot sell produce grown by someone else. So that's something very important to acknowledge, because I know, some people that do in some counties are allowed to resell other people's folks vegetables and fruits. But for accepting WIC vouchers, you cannot sell produce grown by someone else with a WIC voucher. You must display prices of product and how product is sold. Again, that's just like the senior vouchers as well. We want to make sure that folks are able to see really quickly and easily. Make sure, even though if you've got a price tag on something, make sure, it's not just something that somebody has to walk up right next to your booth and see. Make sure it's something that's eye-catching and able for people to see from a little bit of a distance, and might entice them to come up and use their vouchers with you guys. You must display your WIC sign showing the acceptance that you're able to accept WIC vouchers. That's important. That's the same as the seniors. So that way you're easily identifiable. You don't want people guessing if you're able to accept them or not. That way they know right off that you can. You have to require a participant to sign the voucher and enter the date redeemed when they sign it as well. You also must assign an agreement this year, and that's part of the paperwork that Macy will talk about. And of course, and for many of you, you know this, you have to attend this training every single year and complete the training checklist. And again, this is much like many years before, but it's always a good reminder. On the monitoring, there is on-site monitoring of the farmers markets. This might include, but not limited to, compliance with the terms of the WIC voucher farmer agreement. Prices must be marked on the food item or display. The WIC voucher sign must be displayed at all times during the market hours, and refer to the signed WIC market or farmer agreement for details on minor and major violations and the penalties of both. I will say that last year, due to COVID, I know I assisted our lady that is our WIC contact at the state, Jessie Parker, with a review of the Fleming County Farmers Market by using an iPad and going out, an iPhone, and going out and allowing her to see using my camera what was going on at the market. And she got to talk to a couple of the farmers market folks, and also was able to see and make sure that all those little check marks were checked. Yeah, they had their sign, they had prices on their food. So you never know when it's going to happen. Usually they just show up. Sometimes they let you know. She did let me know ahead of time, but sometimes they just show up. So make sure you're always following the rules. A compliance investigation, undercover monitoring for program compliance may be conducted with the assistance of the Office of the Inspector General. So going on with stamps, and Philip talked a little bit about this in the senior portion of it. Again, the stamp for the WIC does have the family on it. So It is easily identifiable, but again, it's easy to also get them confused when you're, in a rush or something. So make sure that you do pay attention before you start stamping your vouchers. Make sure you are stamping them with the correct stamp. So farmers must sign agreements for every county that they sell and accept a WIC voucher in. So this portion is different than the senior ones. So the senior stamp, you can use it in any county you sell in. The WIC stamp, you can only use the stamp for the county in which that number coordinates. So if you're selling in Fleming County, in Brown County, in Mason County, you're going to have 3 different stamps. And you're going to want to make sure that it coordinates that number when you go to stamp your vouchers, coordinate appropriately. So those are different stamps. Stamps are issued to farmers for each county where they have an agreement. Again, if you sell multiple counties, you have multiple stamps. You want to make sure you stamp the voucher with the county stamp to provide the correct redemption to the correct county. And that's important again for when we receive funds in the counties that we're located in. The market manager is responsible for retrieving the stamps of farmers no longer participating in the program. We covered that a little bit earlier. So again, if you decide to not come back next year and you get a stamp this year, make sure you go ahead and turn those back in to someone that can get it back, either your extension office or to your market manager. A lost stamp will be replaced one time. And I know we all can at times be in a rush and lose things. So try not to lose your stamp because it's only going to be replaced one time. And then the next time you're going to have a cost associated with it, and any other time after that. So eligible foods. So Philip showed you what the seniors look like. I'm going to show you, I actually added to this, the actual training didn't show it, but I added some slides here to show you as well. Again, it's good for locally grown produce only. So locally grown produce is defined as produce grown within 50 miles of the Kentucky borders. In the next slides here, you'll see this slide shows in English the eligible foods list. And this includes also eligible cooking herbs as well. So you can see there, and again, things that are not allowed are going to be anything citrus because we do not live in Florida. Again, it's going to throw a big red flag if you are selling oranges and accepting WIC vouchers or senior vouchers. So just make sure you read all information on this list to make sure that you are compliant. And I thought it was neat this year, they also added an additional, this information, and I'll email this link out to y'all as well, is in the Farmers Market Nutrition Program WIC and Nutrition Manual. This was located on page 42 and 43, I believe. But this was really interesting. I thought that they added this year was it in Spanish as well. So I know sometimes we have Spanish customers, and it might be good to be able to have this at your site. Also, just so you can have to know what all is able to be sold to folks. This stamp is an example of what the voucher looks like. Again, it's very similar to the senior voucher. So you want to make sure that you pay attention when you're going to stamp with your stamps. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse or not, but the voucher this year is going to be blue, just like this one from 2019. So you'll notice this one will be blue. I think they said the senior voucher would be red. Philip or Macy, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe they said that it would be red. So that's another way to distinguish between the two. But just make sure that here where the agency stamp is, make sure that the agency has put the stamp there, because it will cause an issue and cause it to come back if it's not. So the top portion is the agency stamp in this little white box, the bottom section for the farmer's stamp. So you want to make sure that you stamp it with your correct county stamp, and make sure that it is able to be seen. So, sometimes you may not have enough ink on it or something like that. Make sure that you have put ink on it and that it's very easily to be read. Again, that's important for reporting and everything, because I'll show you what a report looks like here in a little bit as well. You also want to make sure that the valid dates of use are correct, because who knows, somebody from 2019 might still be holding on to some of their blue vouchers, and you see a blue voucher and you're like, oh, hey, this is a good one. And then you're out the money, you know, technically because you've given them the product, but you're not going to get the money for it. So make sure that the valid dates of use are correct for 2021, and that it will say July 1st through September 30th, 2021. You also want to make sure that they sign their participant name. Also, they need to put the date that's redeemed. And again, all checks must be taken to the bank within 14 days of receipt. So make sure that date redeemed there has to be the day that you accept the voucher, and you must have it again in your, you know, at your bank by 14 days. Because otherwise you may not get your money. It's also a good idea to not, you know, don't take your stamp to the market with you. Just leave it at home. Just make sure all the other parts of that voucher looks correct, and that you got your signature and your date and all that on it. Worry about stamping it when you get home. That way you don't, there's one less thing you have to keep up with, and you're also able to go ahead and make sure that you have the time, no one's interfering and interrupting you, that you do put the correct stamps on the vouchers. So just take your time to do that. Again, make sure that the stamp number is easily read on it. Add some extra ink on it to make sure that it's good, and press it firmly on there. Again, like I said at the beginning, you're going to see these dates a lot on here, and we're going to remind you a lot of it, so it's like embedded in your brains. But the last day to accept the WIC vouchers is September 30th. And again, you must have them to your bank within 14 days of the redeemed date on it. And of course, all vouchers must be in by October 15th. So any voucher that's deposited after October 15th will be rejected for payment. And you do not want to do that. You've worked really hard all year long on this. So make sure that you get the payment that's due to you. Please sign or stamp the back of the voucher. I suggest definitely stamping it. If your stamp looks a little bit not enough ink on it, stamp it again, and maybe even sign it. There's plenty of room on the back. That way there's no reason for them to want to send it back to you. The revalidation process. A farmer may identify an error prior to submission to the local bank. In order for a farmer to deposit the voucher in a timely manner, revalidation should be done on a WIC voucher prior to submission for payment. It can be done by the local health department after the vouchers have been rejected by the contracted bank. So you can check with your local health department if something happens and you do get a rejected one back, and you know what the problem was. So revalidation may occur for the following reasons. Could be that the agency stamp is missing, the date redeemed is invalid, farmer stamp is missing, or the missing participant's signature. So highly encourage y'all, don't let it happen. Don't give it any reasons to be rejected. Go ahead and make sure that those vouchers look correct. And again, treat them like your own personal check as well. Treat it like cash too. This is an example of the farmer redemption report. Again, you can see this is going to have your name on it. And this is another reason why you want to get your stamps on there correctly. That way you can kind of see how it's going redemption wise. And also it's good for the county to be able to track it as well in a real-time type of manner. I think back years ago, there was no deadline or whatever. And some folks were holding on with them from July until the closing in October. And that's not a good way to, for one, you're not treating it like your own check. And two, you're not be able to see kind of how the redemption process is going to get an idea of, whether people are using them, or if people are hanging on to them, if the distribution agency hasn't given them out yet. Like there's many things to, that the state office can't see that's going on at the local level. So be thoughtful about that. Going on for the fair hearings, the WIC fair hearings for participants are governed by Administrative Regulation 902 KAR 18:040. Of course, we have to read these to you all. It's very important for fair hearings. And for vendors, so the first one was for participants, the second one is for WIC vendors. are governed by Administrative Regulation 902 KAR 18:050. For the civil rights and discrimination compliance, a farmer or farmers market participating in the WIC voucher program must adhere to the federal regulations for non-discrimination. I know y'all do a good job without doing that. So just always a good reminder. If someone would want to file a complaint of discrimination, whether it be a vendor or a participant, they would look at this here and they could either mail it, fax it, or email it to the program intake at usda.gov. So we can provide this information for y'all so it's easily accessible as well. So here are some ideas on increasing redemption rates in 2021, and most of these are the same if you saw the presentation last year and maybe even the year before. But just come up with a plan. You can work with your health department, extension office, and any other community partners that's out there to try to get an idea on ways to get folks out there using their vouchers. Could be a seasonal cooking demonstration with the local FCS agent. It could be food preservation or other things. Again, like I said earlier, a lot of your WIC families, may not know how to cook, may not even know how to use some of the products that you might be selling. So be thinking about that. Again, right now we can't do sampling. That's another added benefit too, once we're able to do that again. Make your market fun, do things at it that will get people to your market and excited about it. So here's some ideas of doing blood pressure checks, providing fitness and nutrition information. And I think Macy or somebody had a smoothie bike at some point. And I know Fleming County Farmers Market's had it before. So, getting people active and excited. You can also ask community partners to give out freebies. Contact your extension office. There's always a plethora of recipes that we have with the Kentucky Proud Plated Up recipe cards, and that can be something that you either hand out at the market at a separate table, or it could be you as a farmer handing it out from your site that is selling something that's in that actual recipe. You also want to follow safety procedures based on CDC, local health department guidance, and any local or state guidance for COVID-19. So of course that was added since last year because it's very important that we are adhering to the rules set forth by all of those collaborating. Get the word out. You can advertise it in your local papers and radio. Get people excited on social media. You can use your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, all that fun stuff to get people excited and get people, the word to people. It might not be that they come out, but maybe they tell someone else about it. And, get some really exciting looking posters to hand out and hang around town. Visit different, reading programs, any clubs in your county. Just get the word out to anybody that you might think would be an audience location for your senior and your WIC vouchers. And make sure the health department employees know where you are located. So when they're handing out the vouchers, it might be a good idea to give them a flyer to hand out as well. When they're handing out the vouchers, show when the opening date is. Usually our opening dates are before the July 1st start of the program. So be thoughtful about that. Maybe a great time to provide some marketing opportunities with that as well. You talk with your local health department to see if the market can set up nearby on days of issuance. And that might not be something that you can do, but it might be an idea to use in the future as well. Provide signs leading to the market. I know Fleming County does a good job with this. They have some of those yard signs with a picture of corn on it, and they'll say corn on it. That way they know what's there during that day. So you wouldn't put out the tomatoes if the tomatoes aren't ready at a May market. You would want to wait to put that out. But that way it gives people ideas when they drive by or they're approaching to know if what they're wanting is there at the market that day. You can also provide a map on your Facebook And ask your local health department to allow participants who wish to receive farmers market updates or information to leave their contact information voluntarily. You might be able to send out postcards and that kind of information. Another good idea, and Philip mentioned this for the seniors as well, is provide a meal in a bag for $4. That way they're able just to use their voucher easily. And again, provide them an easy recipe to go with that as well. Occasionally move the market to a place better connected to the community, take advantage of participating in community events. And I know I talk a lot about Fleming County, but that's the one I'm most involved with because that's where I'm located. But they last year started doing a couple of evening markets during the week. And so that I think has been very beneficial in getting actually a different crowd out there as well. Do special events during the National Farmers Market Week, which is generally in early August. Do a customer appreciation or something like that to get the folks out. Participate in the Double Dollars program or the pharmacy program. And if folks don't know what those are, we're happy to give you more information on that. But it's an easy way to again, increase sales at the market and also to assist the farmers that are selling there as well. Get volunteers from universities, churches, 4-H clubs, FFA clubs, a whole lot of people around to come out and assist as well. All right, deadlines for WIC. One line, final push of listening to me talk about them. May 3rd is when we meaning the agents or your coordinator in your county, we have to have all paperwork to the state office. So make sure you get it to us prior to then. Again, like I said, Fleming County folks, I've set April 27th, I believe that's the date, as the deadline. So it gives us a little bit of leeway time to make sure we're doing it timely and get everybody's in. July 1st is the first day local agencies can give out vouchers to participants. So you won't see any before, or you shouldn't see any prior to July 1st, any of your markets. If you are, then more than likely there's something wrong with it. So check it out. The last day to accept the vouchers are September 30th, and the final day to deposit the WIC vouchers is October 15th. This last slide here is the information for the program coordinator. Her name is Jessie Parker. And it's easily to remember because we have Jessie Parker with the WIC program, and then we have Jessie Fry with the senior program. So both are Jessies. So other than that, I'll open it up for questions. If anybody has any, you're welcome to come off of mute, or you can put it in the chat box.
Hey, April, just a little heads up, what we've ran into in the past. The WIC grocery checks and the WIC farmers market checks look extremely identical. And I know things get busy real quick and you're not paying attention, but when you go home and look at it, if you discover that you have a WIC grocery check and not a WIC farmers market check, get a hold of the health department, get a hold of the county agent. We've got to get that fixed immediately because they will not reissue the grocery checks, and I promise you they are worth more than $4. So that's just good customer service, and we'll get that straightened out. No harm, no foul. But we do want to make sure if we run into that, we get that straightened out.
All right, any questions before Macy takes over? All right, well, I'll take that as that I did a really good job of covering everything. But again, if y'all have got questions afterwards, reach out to one of us. We're happy to assist you in anything that you might have. All right, Macy, I'll turn over to you.
All right. This is the page that goes over the WIC information that is required. You have the market name, the farmer's name, and then the farm name. The stamp number, and correct me if I'm wrong, April and I kind of talk back and forth on this, but for the WIC, you can write the number in. If you want to stamp it, I think that'll be fine too, but you can write it in for WIC. And you can put the location and date. You can put Zoom on there for the location. and the counties that you're selling in. You'll have to check mark every box. If there's something that you're missing or something that we did not cover during the training, please let us know. And then you'll have to have your signature and then the trainer's signature as well. Let's see. The next paperwork that you'll have to have for the WIC, this also goes over, this is your farmer agreement. And for this, again, you're going to have to put if you're new to the county or a new farmer, and you can write the number in the WIC number for the stamp on there. If you need a replacement, you would just have to let them know that you'll need a replacement. If you're new, you can put in here new, and they can get you a stamp. I think that was one question that came up. And we can, unless Philip or April knows, you all know about the WIC stamp. Do we just reach out to them if it's someone new?
So whenever we submit the paperwork, as long as it has new on it, they will mail the extension office all the new stamps, and then we get it to the market to distribute to the new farmers.
Okay.
There was a shortage. I don't know about this year, but last year there was a shortage on stamps. So they didn't get out real early last year. So.
All right. So then it just asks more information, your farm, name of the farmer, your address, phone number, email, things like that. And then down here at the very bottom, you do have another portion that you have to sign. You don't have to go to the health department and have them sign this year. That is not a requirement. We know that the health department is extremely busy. So I think that they that's not something that they're having as a requirement. Let me get to our next page, which would be the senior. All right, did my senior share?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, sometimes it doesn't share for me. So this is the information you'll need for the senior. A lot of the same thing, it asks for your name, phone number, address, things like that. You will have to have the stamp for the senior. So you will have to actually use your stamp and put it on the application. So please make sure that you do this before submitting it to your market manager or taking it to the extension office, because we can't turn it in if it doesn't have that on it. So make sure you fill all the information out, and then we will have to either sign it, the market manager or the training person. If it's someone new, of course, the market manager will have to sign it. It can't be the trainer. And here's the information for the civil rights training. This is information we can share with you at the extension office. It's not something I'm going to go through, but it is something that you can read through on your own. And down here at the very bottom is the information that you'll need to sign in regards to the civil rights. And you'll just put your information in the county in there as well. Also, we do have a farmers market manual, and I'll just share that with you all. Hopefully it switched over for me. If you don't have a farmers market manual, please reach out to us. We can print one for you. And they're about almost 25 pages. So it's quite a bit, but it does have some good information about where to reach out to, different programs and things like that. So, and also a lot of the same things that April and Philip talked about, it has that information in this manual. So do make sure that we can have the information printed out for you. Each county has a little bit different deadline. I know April talked about May 3rd and Philip talked about May 1st, but April has asked everyone to get her paperwork in by the 27th for Mason County. You can drop it off at the Mason County Extension Office by the 28th. And Philip, when was your deadline again?
Mine's May 1st. I get everything in. I'll email it in to them.
Okay. All right. So you can stop by the Extension Office, and we have in Mason County, I have it printed out for everyone. I know you did not receive a packet, so you can stop by and pick one up, or we can also email this information to you. Of course, you would have to print it, And that's quite a bit to print, but we can email that as well. Philip, April, did I miss anything?
No, there was one question in the chat is, so on the WIC form, it does ask for your local health department's address. So for Fleming County, I believe, check your all's paperwork. I think I had put all the information, but don't hold me to that because I think it didn't save when I printed it. Anyways, y'all can leave for Fleming. I don't know for Mason and Lewis. Y'all can just leave the local department information off of it. Address.
For Lewis and Round County, leave that information blank. I will have Sandy make up a sticker and I'll just paste it right on top of it.
Yeah, and that's the same for Fleming. That way y'all don't have to worry about trying to look it up and find the address. But
and I'll work with our market manager in Mason County. We can work on that as well to get that information. Is there any other questions?
Macy, I have a question.
Mhm.
On the senior farmers market nutrition program, the paper we're supposed to fill out, if we've already written the number in, do we need to wipe that out or can we stamp above it?
I think you can just go ahead and stamp above it. I'm pretty sure I had someone who did that last year. Just go ahead and stamp it as well.
Yeah, they won't have any problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
We was hoping that they would just let us write it in this year, but it's not that way with senior this year. Is there any more questions out there? And for market managers, of course, there's more information that they have to fill out. I did not have that. I don't have the information to share tonight. I know that, there's only a couple, one probably per market, but if we will be here, the extension office can help the market managers as well to get prepared for that. And but do make sure that you fill all the information out that's required, and just double check, if you think that you should use the stamp or, should I write it in, you can double check and we can make sure, it's done properly, and get that paperwork in on time according to the county that you are in. Other than that, if there's no questions, I think that's it.
All right. If y'all do have any questions again after we leave this meeting this evening, please do not hesitate to reach out to one of us. We're, again, happy to help. I'll go ahead and post the redemption rates again one last time. Maybe if I share the correct screen, that way y'all can see, for those that joined a few minutes late, kind of where each county stood ending in 2020, and maybe y'all can set goals for what you would like to see for 2021, and maybe gauge some ideas from other counties as well on fun stuff that they might be able to do that's made it a little bit more attracting to the senior and WIC voucher folks as well. I know last year was a weird year anyways, but I think the redemption rates were really pretty great last year with how crazy COVID was as well. So one last call